Planning Commission meeting for January 20th, 2015. For those that have not had the pleasure of attending one of these fine gatherings, first of all, please turn off your cell phones if you would, or put them on vibrate so they don't ring during the meeting. Second of all, once we go through the roll call and approve the minutes, city staff will present on an item. Then it's open up to just the commission for technical questions. Once we're done with our technical questions, they open it up to the public for general questions and commentary. If you have something to say, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address so we have it for the minutes. Once public commentary is closed, we bring it back to the commission for discussion and a vote, and we move on to the next item. With that, let's do a roll call.
David Borsak.
Present.
Ed Bowen. Jeffrey Holmes.
Here.
Thomas Wojtek.
Here.
John Hintz.
Here.
Steve Cummings.
Here.
Kathleen Propp.
Here.
Gary Gray.
Here.
Donna Laurie. Robert Weigert.
Here.
Carl Nolenberger.
Great. Approval of the January 6, 2015 minutes. Do we have any additions, corrections?
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion clearly passes. Or through that. Let us move on to item number 1, extraterritorial two-lot land division / certified survey map at the southeast corner of South State Highway 91 and Knott Road in the town of Utica.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
The petitioner is requesting a two-lot land division of a 72.5-acre parcel on the corner of Knott Road and State Highway 91 in the town of Utica. This property is about 1.3 miles southwest of Oshkosh city limits, and Lot 1 is proposed to be about 40 acres and Lot 2, 32.5 acres. The property is currently undeveloped with an agricultural use, and the surrounding area consists of mostly agricultural uses, along with a golf course to the south and an industrial use to the east. There are also a few rural residential properties in the surrounding area. The reason for the land division is that the petitioner would like to sell part of the parcel to a neighbor, and they have no immediate plans for development. There will be no right-of-way designated as part of the land division, and staff feels that the proposed two-lot land division will not alter the existing land use patterns in the area and is consistent with the city's 10-year rural preservation and 20-year residential comprehensive plan land use recommendations. And the Department of Public Works has noted that there may be wetlands on the property, and this information will be provided to Winnebago County, and wetland delineation may or may not have to be conducted prior to development. And here is proposed CSM. And staff recommends approval of the two-lot extraterritorial land division as proposed.
Okay, thank you. Technical questions from the commission. Jeff?
Just for information, wetlands don't have to be identified and delineated before we do a two-lot division.
It depends on the county, since this is outside of our jurisdiction. Typically on our CSMs, we would require them to be located. But typically what they'll do is, before building permits are issued, they'll ask to delineate where they are. But it'd be up to the county since it's outside of our jurisdiction.
So we don't have to take that in consideration in approving this delineation.
No. Just need to consider if it's consistent with our comp plan.
Yes, Gary.
I was just wondering, is one of the owners present at meeting? Did staff talk to the owners on this? Because I noticed that the signature for the property owner is not the property owner signature. And is it possible to subdivide property without the approval of the property owner?
Well, the property owner's going to have to sign the CSM, sign the actual document when it's divided.
Okay, so nobody will be able to sneak in a subdivision without the property owner?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Other technical questions? Okay, seeing none, anyone here from the audience to speak to this item today? Once, going twice. Okay, public commentary is closed. Back to the commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Weigert.
Aye.
Borsak.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
Hintz.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Propp.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Wojtek.
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
All right, let us move on to item number 2, architectural building plan review for a public restroom and park shelter facility located within Stevens Park, 44 Frankfurt Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Most welcome.
Again, this is an architectural building plan review, basically for the restroom and park shelter facility in Stevens Park. State statutes does require a plan commission to review the location and architectural design of any public buildings. This is an accessory structure to the existing neighborhood park, Stevens Park. And let me kind of go forward. This is the location of the park. It's basically south of Harney. It's on the east side of the city, northeast side of the city, between Frankfurt and all connection to Eveline. You can probably all know where the location. It also has access from Carr Place. Area is all zoned to R2. It's about 4.85 acres. It's classified as a neighborhood park. It was developed in 1979. This is an aerial of the park itself. It's currently developed with a walking path or trail, a small open space shelter over in this location, very small, it's about 300 square feet, a formal playground with playground equipment, basketball, baseball, baseball field, basketball and tennis courts, and also a community garden. The 2011 adopted in 2011 outdoor recreation plan does recommend improvements to many of the parks, including Stevens Park, and one of the specific recommendations in that was a shelter and restroom facilities that were ADA accessible. Our comp plan also designates this area in the 10 and 20 years for parks, recreation, and open space. As you can see, the area surrounding the park is predominantly single family. Maybe if I go back to the other thing, you can see the colors. The light yellow is single family, the darker yellow is two family, and there's just a few multifamily on Bay Shore and in Frankfurt here. So again, a neighborhood park and predominantly single and two family. So this again is a aerial of the park, and I'm kind of showing you the location. The proposed shelter is kind of located centrally inside the park area, just north of the baseball field, and there is a set of bleachers here and south of the formal playground, right on the walking path itself. It is, this shelter and restroom facility would eliminate the need for a portable restroom that's used for events and utilization of the park right now. Will be ADA accessible, as I had mentioned, and it's going to contain a larger park shelter area than what's currently out there. This is a kind of a zoomed in. If you look on this map, you can see that, kind of have the excerpt here, zoomed in, so you can see the path coming off of Frankfurt. It continues down to Eveline, goes down south to the bleacher section. Here's a softball diamond. Up here is the playground area. So this is the shelter location itself. Here's the existing small picnic shelter that I had mentioned. So this is the general location. Here is a floor plan for the building. It is approximately 420 square feet for the restroom section. And then there's an additional approximately 500 square feet open air shelter. It is roofed. And you'll see that in the elevation drawings and the renderings. But it's for basically it's open air. So you'll see inside of the shelter, there's sort of a central area, which is probably storage and mechanicals, that type of thing, and then your accessible female and male toilet areas. There are also drinking fountains, covered drinking fountains here on the what I call the north side of the building. This shelter is very, very similar to the existing shelter in Menominee Park that went in 2011, and also it's very consistent with the Boatworks shelter. They vary in size. Also, I believe the Menominee Park shelter has a kitchen facility in it as well. But they're very similar in architectural style and materials. This is for consistency for all the park shelters throughout the city, as you'll probably see them coming in the future, but it's also important to keep them consistent for maintenance. So maintenance materials can be consistent on all of them. So what you see up on the top, this is a revised elevation. I don't believe that was the one that was included in your packets. Let me see. It is not. This has been revised after staff comments. So the one on the bottom right you'll see are the ones in your packets. The materials are basically a fiber cement siding, and it's a predominant material, but there is also a split-face concrete block, or excuse me, a split-face concrete knee wall, 3 feet, that runs around the entire exterior of the restroom portion of the building. One of the features that's very distinct with these and make them very nice are the exposed Douglas fir truss systems and also the Douglas fir columns that you see around the outside of the building. When we looked at this original facade, original elevations, we had thought the north and south elevations were kind of blank walls, very open area, and above the drinking fountains. So we had recommended in the staff report things like windows. You can see some examples here, or maybe a community center message box for announcements, or possibly some type of plaque, or even just kind of signage. We kind of left it open. What we were really looking to do is kind of break up this larger open space. Parks Department went back to their architect, and they came up with an alternative to break up sort of that expanse of facade by using additional, I'm assuming Douglas fir columns in there. So you didn't have that long wall. You'd also have consistency with the rest of the building. And I'm going to kind of go to the shelter renderings. So they're a little bit nicer than the elevation. So you have the original ones here where you can see where we had seen these blank walls, and then with the addition of the columns there to kind of break up those facades itself. The project for the restroom and shelter facility design was approved by the Parks Advisory Board on January 12th of this year. It is included in the 2015 Capital Improvement Program, and an excerpt was attached into your packet. Oh, and to give you kind of an example, this is the Menominee Park shelter, and I believe, like I had said, Ray could probably correct me, but I believe there's a kitchen facility in there as well. So you can kind of see that consistency with the design. Here you see that exposed truss system on this side. You don't see it on the other side of this shelter, so that is something that Stevens Park Shelter will have a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit nicer feature. So with that, we are recommending approval of the building plan for the restroom and shelter with one condition, and the north and south elevation incorporate elements intended to break up that mass as approved by the Department of Community Development. If you're okay with those columns that are added on there, you could approve it with those with that condition not on there, if you like.
Got it. Technical questions, John, David, Jeff.
With the capital or the CIP that's included in here, there's a 200. I know we're not supposed to deal with fiscal things, but this is it's 200,000 in here, and now that on page 3 it says it's going to cost 250,000. Is there a reason we're at 125% of cost?
That might be something better for Parks to answer. Ray Stray, the Director of Parks.
The $250,000 estimate you're seeing, that was a page that planning staff extracted from our park and open space plan. It was just a rough estimate thrown out by the consultant that we hired at that time. That probably included architectural fees, and what we did with this project was the Common Council approved funding in 2014 to cover the architectural fees and the building construction in 2015. So that's the reason in the reduction as well.
Great, thank you. David?
Excuse me. I assume on this page 15, these are the adjacent landowners. They were notified. Or were they notified?
Yes.
And then secondly, I think that there's an active Stevens Park group. Were they notified?
Yes, they were consulted, and actually, architect who designs the shelters is, I believe, on the board, or is it president? No, on the board.
Okay, so there's neighborhood feedback on this?
Yeah, they were presented to the neighborhood, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff?
We're creating 1,300 square feet of more impervious, and I noticed in the architect's report, it said that the surrounding land will be able to take off the running, any water that's created.
Correct.
That's not an issue? I mean, in terms of, I don't know if there's flooding in that area or not.
Nope, I don't believe that's an issue, but Steve probably can address that. I'll go back to the site plan.
The city code would allow them to expand by up to, today, up to 20,000 square feet without requiring any additional
stormwater management facility. It's a cumulative, so over the time, if the park continues to add substantially more impervious, they could eventually need to trigger into some kind of stormwater management item. There is a lot of green space around here. About all it'll do is increase the impervious area on there. Do you actually get stormwater utility bills for the parks? So it'll increase, it could trip them into the next tier of stormwater utility bill, which would up their rate to help pay for stormwater improvements around the rest of the city and even in this neighborhood as they're done.
How do we keep track of that accumulation?
We keep the plan records in our office. They're stored on the GIS system, so we can go back and look through those.
Okay.
The site plan review process helps tremendously because people have to supply that information now.
Okay.
Any other technical questions? Gary?
If I could respond to that.
Oh,
Okay.
In the southeast corner, there is a storm sewer, and the whole park drains to that particular location. So,
Mr. Chairman, can you ask the speaker to identify himself?
Ron Hanchey, 52 Eveline Street.
thank you.
Remember
you.
this?
Gary, did you?
Yeah. Has any thought been given about doing a mural on the wall, on one of these walls? You know, I mean, I know there's possibility of graffiti, but the possibility of graffiti is still there. And has any consideration been given to putting a mural on some of these on some of these lobs or walls?
No, we haven't considered that on this facility or any of the other facilities at this time. We've had some brief discussions with our museum director regarding some murals on buildings, and because of the climate up here, there's really not a decent product or a decent thing that's out there that will weather fine, so it's not something that we would recommend for our park facilities.
I do know Ashland has a mural on one of the major streets downtown, so I don't know how they do it, but anyhow. Okay, thank you.
Other technical questions? Okay, seeing none. Anyone here from the public to speak to this item today? Now's your chance. Come on up, ma'am, and state your name and address and tell us what you think.
My name is Holly Foley, 1247 Harney Street, and thank you, sir, for bringing that up. I have spoken with 3 neighbors right by me and then another gal around the corner. This was our first notification that anything was going on. So we were not talked to or met with in regards to any of the planning. This was the first that we knew anything was going on. My one concern is, well, there's a couple of things. First off, the location of it. Why couldn't it have been closer to the parking area located for the park along Frankfurt Street where there is currently, and you pointed that out, where there is a current little building there? Because that is where the parking for the park is right now along Frankfurt. Where you have it located, and being I'm retired law enforcement, my biggest concern is who's going to watch this? Is it going to be locked in the evenings? I do know that the county park, their facilities, bathrooms are locked at night. So are we taking that into account so that it doesn't become a hangout? Because I think that's a huge problem. Plus, there's a property owner there that's going to block my view. So I would have liked to have been included in this and maybe talked about where the location was going to be. And I know some of my neighbors did too. We aren't going to be as affected as some of my other neighbors that were upset because now they're going to see a building when it could have been moved a little closer to where the parking is, which to me makes sense, plus for law enforcement to check on it in the evenings for graffiti or much worse. Okay? So those are
Okay, thank you
my
very
concerns.
much. Oh, Kathy's got a question for you.
Are you in favor of having a new facility? You're just concerned about the location?
I'm concerned about the location. I am questioning, is this going to be locked in the evening? Who's going to?
Yeah, but are you in favor of having a facility somewhere in
You know,
Stevensburg?
The park is hardly really used. So, well, not a lot, sir, because, yes, there are children that play ball in there and some that play basketball. But I do know in comparison to County Park, for example, that is really used. Monopoly Park, a lot of people I know don't even know that this park exists. They really don't because of the location. It's tucked away in this little neighborhood. It's just like a little neighborhood park. I'm not saying that we can't have some facility. I am concerned about who's going to maintain it, watch over it, law enforcement, especially where the location is. Are we going to lock the doors to the restrooms at night so it doesn't become a hangout for drug problems? Hangout for graffiti, all sorts of things like that. Yeah, I am concerned about that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else here to speak to this item today? Come on up, sir. Name and address and let's see.
Stevens Park Neighborhood Association, in the months of August, September, October, and November, delivered flyers to every resident in the Stevens Park Neighborhood Association, and that toilet facility was on the agenda. Secondly, between May 1st and August 1st, 3 nights a week, doubleheader ball games. There are in the neighborhood of 100 to 150 people in that park every summer. Thirdly, there is not enough parking to handle the ball games that are there. Eveline Street is parked heavily, Frankfurt Street is parked heavily, and Carr Place is parked heavily during those ball games. So the park is used extensively and it needs a toilet facility. The location, it will be locked depending on the hours that the park department sets for locking. And that's automatically done every night and opened at some time every morning. It is totally lighted, and that is up to the department, the Parks Department, to determine when they want those lights on and off. There is a public street light that's on all of the time just to the north of it in the playground. So it's the whole area of the park right there is lighted continuously.
So, sir, stay up there. We may have questions.
I have a question for you, so.
Go ahead, Gary.
When you say that leaflets were given out, were leaflets given out to the members of the association or to people in the community?
Every member or every household in the Stevens Park Neighborhood Association receives a flyer 3 or 4 times a year during the months of May, June, July, and August and September.
Okay, just for my edification, what basically is the boundaries of Stevens Point Neighborhood Association?
The Fox River, Lake Winnebago, Bowen, and Washington.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, come on up, sir.
If I can just clarify a little bit on what Ron said on the locking mechanism on the facility. It's actually an electronic strike, so we can set a timer in the building to automatically lock the facility and unlock. So that's what we have included in the plans.
Great, thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Gary.
You said these doors going to be locked at a certain time?
Correct.
What happens if somebody's using the restroom when the door's locked? Are they going to get locked in?
No. There's a safety mechanism, so if you're inside, you can still exit the building.
Okay. I was just wondering if somebody was going to have an interesting experience some evening.
Anyone else in the audience to speak to this item today? Okay. Go ahead. If you got one more thing to say.
I do have material samples up here if the Plan Commission would like to see. I brought some of the split-face block that's included so you can get a better feel for what's on the building, as well as the composite siding that goes above it, and then above the top of the split-face block, there's a sill that goes across there as well. So
Great.
got some product samples for you as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, back to the commission. Thoughts, ideas?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on the motion or any discussion? Go ahead, Kathy.
Just, I think it's a nice addition to the park. I'm glad to see it happen.
Anything else? Let's call the roll.
Weigert.
Aye.
Borzak.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
Vince.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Crop.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Whitehead.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right. Any business for us, gentlemen?
The only thing I wanted to mention is our next meeting will not be in this room, probably be in 203. You'll get stuff in the mail.
Oh, okay.
There's training, some type of training or something going on in here where we're being booted.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're done.